Well, ladies and gentlemen, based on how much fun I had with that FW190, I purchased this on eBay. It's another model on that Monogram 148 scale trend. Cobra. It's one I built years and years ago and never did a good job. But this is even the box cover I kind of remember. Actually, I can't tell if it's definitely just a piece of paper. It was just in a bag when I bought it, which is fine. I don't care as long as the parts are there. But this is the same cover I had when I was little. But again, this is an actual box, so this is, I think, a copy of something. But anyway, this is what I decided to get, and it was wonderful. Everything's in it. Clear parts are good. It's got a nice pilot, and these clear parts look really good. The decals are nasty. They're all cracked and unusable, but I haven't decided what, which one I'm going to build. I'm going to probably either something from Guadalcanal or something from Port Moresby or New Guinea. Those are my three big choices. So I might be able to use these as patterns to make stencils to spray, but I'm not going to be using these anyway, so it doesn't matter that these are horrible. What I decided to do initially was just spray some of the parts with primer. Again, like in the Focke-Wulf, this one has little seat belts already molded into it. Although I'll probably make some seat belts of my own. I'm going to try not to do a huge amount with this, kind of like the 190. Might play around a little bit, but add a few things, but try to keep it as much as original as I can, which is kind of fun to do, I'm finding. Spend more time on painting and maybe refining a few pieces, but that's the main cockpit part with the propeller shaft that goes under the pilot. I did start drilling out some holes. So this is a main cannon, and I've poked 3 holes in there. These weren't holes. These were just embossed in there a little bit, and that worked out okay, just to make it look more realistic. I've already sprayed the wings to get the interior, the wheel wells done. There's a lot of detail in there. I don't know how accurate it is, but it looks cool, and it will look nice under some washes and things. It'll look pretty neat. Same with the engine bay here. I mean, that's, whenever this was produced, that doesn't look too shabby at all. Not a bit. All the panel lines are raised, but that's okay. The doors aren't, and the air access areas around the engines aren't, so that's okay. So I sprayed this. Here's this inside door, and there's another door on this side that you can pose open. This has got some pieces on it, look good. I might add some wiring in here, but that's probably going to be about it. That'll be just great. And then I sprayed all of these things a little bit to get them started. This is an instrument panel, which is actually really nice. It's got raised detail on it. It's got gun breeches sticking out. It even has representations of cocking handles on there. So this will be nice painted and then dry brushed, and that'll actually look just fine. I drilled out the back of the instruments because I'm going to put some lead wire in them so that they look like they've got something back there. My only disaster so far has been this. This is the bulkhead that's got holes in it that sits behind the seat. And I drilled these out with these little fine drills, but I stupidly put them in my Dremel tool. And it was going a little too fast. So most of them turned out and went through and were clean. But this one over here is really nasty. So I'm going to have to fill that and fix that. Won't be a big deal. And I didn't damage the part, but just that piece. So I am going to start putting this together for fun and bring you along for the process. The directions are all very easy to see and read and understand. Only question so far is I'm not sure how to put the seat in there. It just sort of floats. I guess the bottom will probably just go right up underneath here, but it's got good painting call outs and things, some of which I'll use, some I won't. And we'll put this together. I even got a P-39 in action squadron book, and that'll help maybe with fixing some of these things that need fixing. But this is going to be really fun to put together, and so I invite you to come along if you so desire. So as I'm taking off some flash here, we'll just talk a little bit about the aeroplane. P-39 was actually a pretty innovative airplane for its time. tricycle landing gear. It was built around a very powerful cannon, and it was really kind of the point of it, I think, was as a ground attack, or at least a low-level airplane. It was supposed to be an interceptor too, but its biggest problem, I guess, was the engine, which was from what I understand, non-supercharged, non-turbocharged Allison engine. And it was a very common engine in lots of airplanes. I even think it's in the P-40 of the same era. And it just meant that the airplane was just fine at low altitude. But once it got up to, I don't know, 15,000 feet or something, then its performance dropped off markedly. And in Europe, everything was high altitude. And so, at least Battle of Britain and all those things, and bomber offensive and all things like that. So when this airplane first was becoming a thing, it was handicapped because of that. But I don't think necessarily it was a horrible airplane. I'm currently reading Chuck Yeager's autobiography, who of course is the person who broke this first pilot to fly speed of sound in the Bell X-1, which consequently these people are Bell. Bell made this airplane. And in his book, he flew it. So did Bud Anderson, who was an amazing fighter pilot, along with Charles Yeager. And they even flew together, but they practiced or learned their skills, fighter pilots, on P-39s. And in his book, it's the first time I heard this, but he says, oh, it was a great airplane. It was one of his favorites, if not his favorite airplane to fly. So I have a feeling that this airplane probably would have been, fine. It would have been a very good airplane, except for the fact that it's had poor performance at altitude, and it was also, I guess, even though it had all the armament, to me it's kind of lightly armed. It's got some 30 caliber machine guns on it and things, and that's probably a little light for some of the things that were going on. But again, I don't necessarily think it was a horrible airplane at all. I have a feeling it was probably a pretty good airplane, and like many others, like a Brewster Buffalo, for example, flies great until maneuverable, easy to fly, all those kinds of things. They talk about, oh, get into a spin in this, you'll die. I mean, I don't think that's true. I think you just got to know the airplane, and it comes out of a spin as easy as any other airplane if you put the controls the way they're supposed to be. So I don't think that's necessarily, I think that's kind of a misnomer on the airplane. But what I was trying to say is it probably just, once you put armor and plating, and once you put self-sealing fuel tanks, and once you put armament in there and ammunition, then things start to go to pot. And like I said, I got to fix that. Then things start to go wrong. And initially, this probably wasn't such a bad little airplane. And I have a feeling it was not as bad as people make it out to be. It's sort of, people make it sound like it was terrible airplane. If Chuck Yeager said it was one of his favorite airplanes, if not his most favorite airplane to fly, I'm gonna say that, who am I to say that this airplane was a terrible airplane? If Chuck Yeager thought it was good, heck, that's all the endorsement I need. I believe Bud Anderson thought it was a good airplane too. So, granted, tangling with a zero in the Solomons, it got creamed because it was not nearly as maneuverable as a zero. And they also kind of didn't know how to fight with it at the time. So I can see where, yeah, there would have been some problems with it. And that's okay. I'm not saying that it was the best airplane ever invented, but I don't think that's as bad as many people say it was. I really don't think so. And again, it was something that would have probably done just fine under the right circumstances. And the point is under the right circumstances. I guess that's the iffy part. What are those circumstances? So, when you, and that's what's fun. That's one of the things great things about building model airplanes, whether you build them plastic or models in general. Plastic, paper, you make them out of clay, you paint them, you draw, you do whatever you want with your artistic endeavor. This is such a fun hobby because you learn so much about the actual machine. You increase your library. I have a little friend down here. Hey, little friend. What you doing? You want to fly a P-39? Yeah, I don't think so. You learn a lot about the actual machine and how it was used and who flew them and who drove them and who, this is I really wish more young people kept doing this kind of thing. I guess they've been priced out of existence and they've got cell phones and all that nonsense. But boy, it's a shame because you learn so much and you have an appreciation for history and everything else. It isn't just a silly toy to put together and put a firecracker in it and blow it up later. These are actually, kind of useful. And make for a really nice, make for a really fun thing to do. So I'm going to go change lenses, and then we'll start to try to put some of these together, at least what can be put together a little bit, because I want to also paint things later before I go crazy. But we will be right back. All right, so I've been playing around with fitting all these parts a little bit. This piece that looks so terrible, well, actually it won't look so bad because it's going to fit. These pins fit right here. And this thing is going to basically fit up underneath like so. And when that's put in there, it doesn't look so bad. So I'm not that worried about that anymore. It doesn't look beautiful, but it's going to be okay. I can do a little bit of tweaking if I want. Then this piece, I guess, comes down and fits basically even like so when it's time. Okay, so I think by practice, the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to have to make sure I know where this all fits in here, because I'm going to have to figure out where and how to put weights up here, because I don't want this thing to be a tail sitter, because it's a tricycle landing gear. It's going to be heavy back here, and so I got to kind of think ahead. So what I'm trying to do now is just sort of get stuff figured out in terms of looking at the directions, where things should go. And I'll try just putting on a few things initially, and we'll sort of go from there. This is a piece of the magazine, one of the magazines in the front, so that can go in and start to dry. That'll be fine. This piece, this bulkhead, I may as well put that in as well. That just fits down in these pegs, and that should be fine. Playing around with everything and looking at, like, remember I didn't know where on earth the seat went? I was confused as to how the seat fits. Well, it doesn't even attach to this piece. All it does is, see that little piece right here? I've taken some of the primer off of it, and then I took some of the primer off of this piece here under the seat. So that just goes right on top and glues into place. And since these pieces are all going to be basically the same color, and I might have to do a little bit of tweaking here and there, but everything's pretty similar. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this in. I'm trying to get as much of it together as I can so that I can basically paint a lot all at once. At least that's the theory. Okay, so we're going to take our little seat here and we're going to hold it like so, and we're going to put a little bit of glue in here and let it sit and dry for a few seconds. Maybe put a little bit on the other side too. And it's out of focus, I know, but just a little bit. Now I'm going to take this and put it on here, and it should, by all that's right and holy, go in straight and actually end up where it's supposed to. It's not, but I think I'm getting it. And I just got to make sure, so it does in fact touch this guy a little bit. It looks like it touches right up here. So I'll put a little glue there and a little glue there, and we will call that good. And we will let that dry, because that will hopefully, I'm trying to get things in not out of sequence because I'm worried about where all these things go. For instance, this piece, you got to make sure that this end that has sort of details that you can see that are kind of sticking out, this end here is flat. So this goes in here. So it's going to form a little bulkhead in the front, right up in, well, this side is easier, right up in here, so you can see in and see everything. Problem is, you've got to put the cannon through there too, so you got to make sure, you got to figure out, can you fit all this stuff together? And it looks like I can put that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on. Why not? This kind of glue is amazing when you're 58, 57 years old. When you're a little person, this kind of glue is horrendous, because it goes everywhere, and that's kind of a problem. So you got to be aware of that. This is going to be where my joystick goes, that little hole, and maybe I could stick that in there. That is right here. Actually looks pretty cool, if I'm being honest. Looks kind of nice, I think. It's nicely molded. Again, for being an old kit, this is kind of like the FW190. It looks pretty nice. It's got a nice trigger on there that can be painted. I mean, that'll look great. That will look fantastic. Okay, so the trigger has to be like this for the guy to grab it, so you make sure you face it the right direction. I will put a little bit, a little fella of glue in there. I'm not going to pose anything in a strange position, like ailerons one under the other. The pictures I've seen of this airplane, maybe I'll put it so that the elevators are dropped a little bit. Maybe just a little. I might just do that, so maybe we can stick those in. The instrument panel, which is beautiful, is going to go in here, but I'm going to wait to put that in because I'm going to have that be painted separate and drop it in. I think it's going to be okay. So that'll be good. So now the next part is this little guy. Looks like it goes right here in there and has the molded pieces sitting forward, I guess. Trying to see, does it fit? Oh, there, it fits better. Yeah, that looks good. So that goes in, so we'll go ahead and glue that from the bottom. Why not? And we'll put a little bit of glue there. I'm assuming that that'll help too. There. So that's the beginning. And the cannon is going to slip in here like this. Kind of fit in there and hold down like so. This is a magazine that goes around it. And then we'll put some of the top guns on there as well. But that's a really good start. I'm liking it.